Are you ready? Things are about to get magnificent. America First with Dr. G.
I just got a text from Elijah. He said, great show today. Thank you, Elijah. And then he warned me, the mics are on in the break. Yes, we do that on purpose. For some reason, people love it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you get to hear all the banter, the back and forth with our guests and with the team here. Do please subscribe to our record-breaking YouTube channel. It's America First. Sebastian Gorka, subscribe, hit the notification bell twice, and you won't miss a thing, including our incredible interview with Rudy Giuliani just moments ago. You have to hear it. You have to see it. Now we're going to a man who is he was single-handed, but not anymore, because he's created an empire. It's called justthenews.com. You have to follow it, bookmark it. He's one of the true professional journalists left in America today. John Solomon, J. Solomon Reports. He's the author of Fallout. John, welcome back to America First.
Hi, good to be with you.
John, can I ask you a potentially rhetorical question? Shouldn't the greatest nation, the strongest, the most powerful, the most advanced nation in the world have the best media in the world?
It should, and it should have the best vote counting system in the world, right? There should be clarity, not all of this chaos that was created in the battleground states. And you know the sad part? In 2005 and 2006, a bipartisan commission, Democrats and Republicans, got together and did something for their country. They came up with a plan to prepare for future voting in America that would address so much of what we're seeing today gone wrong in the ballots. They assumed that we were going to move to more mail-in ballots, more early voting, and they came up with about 40-plus recommendations of things that could be done to prevent fraud, to improve accuracy, to ensure integrity, to ensure confidence that Americans could get this system right. And somebody put it in the circular called the garbage can, and these jurisdictions, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, didn't implement them. And we now live in 2020 where half of the country, no matter how this turns out, are not going to trust the final election results.
Wow, that's the real point. That's the real point. Half of the country...
Greatest democracy in the world.
Yeah, greatest democracy, greatest republic in the world. And no matter what happens, and God willing, it's the president that is reinstated and sworn in for a second term. But either way, because of the media and because of the Democrat Party, either side will not believe the results of that election. Follow this man right now, J. Solomon Reports, justthenews.com, CEO, founding president. So is this why you have created a new media coalition? And if so, what is the purpose of this new coalition, John?
Yeah, it's basically to reprise what I did back in 2000 when I worked for the Associated Press. And we went down to Florida and we did an independent media recount of the votes, the hanging chad in the counties where there were questions about the ballot and ballot integrity. And I think we live in the 2020 election where those same questions exist today. And so we put together a team. It's the Just the News team. It is the Real America's Voice video team, television network, and the Star newspapers run by Michael Patrick Leahy. We may get some additional partners in the coming days. And our goal is to take a look at 4 states where the majority of concerns and red flags and distrust has been sown, and just to go precinct by precinct and study the data and look for anomalies. If there are more people that voted, or 90% of the precinct voted, that's unusual. We don't normally see a 90% turnout. So then we're going to dig into that precinct. We're going to use the open records laws of each one of these states to see what was being communicated from the cities to the wards, wards to the cities, cities to the state, and state to the cities. Because we've seen some unusual communications already between the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania, giving instructions to counties to do things that the legislature in Pennsylvania never authorized. And so, as you know, the Constitution
is clear.
Vests the authority of setting the voting rules with the legislature, not with elected officials.
And so, go ahead, John.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing things like that, and we're looking for 2 things. Was there fraud, or were there unequal systems that treated voters in Philadelphia different than they treated them in Bucks County? And because the key to any court ruling is going to be every voter should have had an equal chance to be treated the same. And if that isn't the case, that's usually when the courts come in and intervene. So we're on it. We're working. We're putting a lot of work onto it. And as we get results, as we discover things, We're going to have it on justthenews.com, Real America's Voice in real time.
You've got to bookmark those sites. You've got to follow this man, Jay Solomon Reports, and listen to what he said. This is perhaps the biggest bombshell fact that is not being reported. If you want to change how America votes, we may be a republic of states, but the Constitution is explicit. The only body that can change the way an election is run is the state legislature. It's not the secretary of the state, it's not the attorney general, and it's definitely not the governor. In almost every Democrat state, that is not how they changed the voting this year. And that is unconstitutional, and those changes must be struck down, and the votes that are recorded as a function of those changes must be treated as null and void. We're talking to the founder of justthenews.com. Jay Solomon Reports is his Twitter handle. We'll be back with John momentarily. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First, the live protest occurring now in Philadelphia. We'll keep you updated here from the ReliefFactor.com. As former Deputy Assistant to President Donald Trump, I have briefed the President of the United States on critical threats. Let me brief you on a critical threat to your finances. Your savings in the bank or in stocks and bonds are simply entries stored on a very vulnerable electrical grid on a third-party server. What happens if we see banks fail or our electric grid is successfully attacked? There is a way to own profitable investments privately. Do what I did. Discover how Midas Gold Group can bring you financial security today.
So in order for the president to close the gap, and he only trails by 93,000 votes, he only has to get 57%. So that's less than what he was already getting. And there are 605,000 outstanding ballots right now. So as this narrows, there is going to be great pressure on you guys, to be honest with you, Fox News, to rescind your call. It was a premature call. You know, we were livid about the fact that you and then the AP made that call. There are 7 organizations that call states on election night from time to time. 7. 5 of those 7 did not make that call.
That was Tim Murtaugh, Director of Communications of the Trump campaign, back on Fox, reading them the riot act that they called Arizona before anybody else did. Other news agencies have rescinded their call. Fox refuses to do so. I think we have somebody who can help explain us. But first, MyPillow.com, because he was on the show recently. He's a great friend of the show. Mike Lindell has upped his discount to you, 60% off his products right now. The pillow that never gets hot, never loses shape. Not $69.95, $29.95 if you use my name. The president uses them, I use them. They are superlative. Call 800-829-8468. That's 800-829-8468, mypillow.com. He's only sold 51 million of them. They're that good. MyPillow.com, promo code GORKA. We are back with the founder of JustTheNews.com. He's created a new media coalition to find out what is going on across the nation's ballots, polling stations. He's John Solomon. Follow him, Jay Solomon Reports. John, we have heard so many excuses about what Fox News did on the night of the election, that, the people who supplied them their data supplied them the wrong data. On air, they said, well, we got this figure for Arizona from the number of votes that we had access to, and then the exit poll data, and in some magic mystical formula they said it's Biden's. John, what are you seeing in terms of Fox's mistake, and what does it mean more broadly for legacy media?
So it's a great question, and for 14 years, 7 consecutive elections, I called races for the Associated Press. I was one of the election night analysts, and there's a certain training and a certain instinct that you're given to, one, never be hair trigger, right? Always think again.
Count to 10. Count to 10, right?
It's important. And listen, I was at the AP, and it was one of my states I was working on with another colleague. Florida, we didn't call Florida in 2000 when everybody else did before it got to hanging. Why? Because we knew there was something with the data that didn't look right. And you need to be so engrossed in the data that when you get that first instinct to call, you go, well, what are all the things we're not thinking about?
Well, you are the perfect man to ask. Then you are the man who did it for 14 years. So what happened?
I was I was watching the vote totals, and they were saying it was about 75% of the vote was in.
For Arizona.
The vote totals did,
right.
For Arizona.
Yeah.
And the vote totals didn't average or didn't add up to what would normally be a 75% tally for Arizona. It was too small to be 75% of the vote. And I said on air, I was on one of the on-air shows at Real America's Voice. Listen, it may turn out to be a great call, but I can see one red flag. There's no way those number of votes total 75% of the overall thing. And sure as heck, a few hours later, Fox was explaining why that number wasn't quite right and that the number had adjusted. And those are the sort of things that you have to, on election night, have in your back of your head and your checklist before you go out and try to make the risk. And if you look at it, Fox News has been calling states quicker and faster for Biden than any of the other members of the vote calling.
Why?
Media.
Why?
I don't know, and maybe they want to be the first to declare Biden the winner. I don't know. Someone from Fox is going to have to answer that.
So, but hang on, I have to ask you, as the guy who did that for more than a dozen years, I have to ask you, when everybody else, even the fake news media, has said, guys, we've retracted it, we can't call it, what is your supposition? Why is Fox still unwilling to retract it and say, guys, we made a mistake?
Look how it's fallen. Yeah, it's under 60,000 now, and it's going to fall. And listen, there are some estimates that when you do back napkin math right now, just the way the votes are breaking, Trump may end up with somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 vote lead when these final ballots come in. Now, that's one estimate. I don't project that until it happens. But if you have that as one of your estimates, you know you made a bad call if you called the race 2 days ago with the closing. I don't know what was in Fox's mind, but I'll tell you, I watched one of the most courageous journalists in my life stand her ground on the night of 2000 when all the other networks wanted to call Florida for Gore, and she said, I will not call it, and here's why. The data doesn't warrant it. I don't care if 6 people, 10 people, 100 people called it. I'm not calling it until my training. She stood her ground, and the AP was one of the only news organizations in America that made that courageous decision. That's what a vote analyst has to do. It has to have such a dedication to the data and not to the goal of, can we get this closed? Can we be the first to name Biden the president? Those are the wrong suppositions to have when you go in as a data.
It's the wrong motivation to have, to be first. Irrespective of whether or not you're accurate. We've got 60 seconds left with John Solomon. Follow him right now. Jay Solomon Reports, justthenews.com. What is your sense right now as a man who's done this for years and years and years, been in the official position to track and announce states? Are we going to get an accurate accounting of what happened 2 days ago across America, John Solomon?
I think we will. Certainly in the states that matter, right? I think a lot of states, Florida's a no-brainer. They did a good job. They called the vote. It's great. We know what it is. In the states where there's all this chaos and rule changing and oddities going on, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, we're going to get to the bottom of it. It may be forced by a court, but I think at the end of the day, there will be an honest assessment. One side's not going to like it, and I think that's the greatest tragedy. Half of America is not going to trust whoever the next president is because they won't think it's legitimate. That's why we got to fix these systems and not ever have this happen again after 2020.
And it's a tough question, but yes or no, if you can. Is the legacy media going to fix its ways?
No. The only way you're going to fix the legacy media is by starting new organizations that force competition and better behavior.
I think you should do that, John. Media. I think you should start an organization.
I jumped 2 feet in with my wife's retirement money. She loves me for it.
Oh, my gosh. Don't worry. I'm going to tell her. Don't worry about your money. I know, John Solomon, this is going to be a massive success. It already is.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Don't call me. Nobody calls me sweet live on air. Who do you think you are, John Solomon?
That's right. I'm ruining your reputation.
We are committed to accuracy. Don't call me sweet. Call me fair and balanced if you want. Follow this man right now. Jay Solomon Reports. Look, that's what he did. He saw the lack of credibility. He saw the mistakes. He saw the intransigence to fix itself in the legacy media. So what did he do? He created his own new news service, and you must use it every single day. If you're fed up with Fox, you know where to go. Salem. And then justthenews.com. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network with me, Sebastian Gorka, from the ReliefFactor.com studios. Do you love this country? Do you want to fight back? Do you need the truth every day? Of course you do. Just subscribe to our channel right now. Hit the subscription button and the notifications bell twice, and you'll never miss a thing. I'm Sebastian Gorka, and this is America First. Do it now. Thank you.